China is facing an unprecedented drop in population. New data from the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences has concluded that China's latest generation has shrunk by over 150 million when compared to just the previous generation. The finding was revealed last year on December 27th at the 40th Tsinghua University Forum of China and the World Economy, when Feng Xuming, a researcher at the Academy, presented their analysis. Since a generation was assumed to be 3 consecutive decades, researchers decided to compare the generation born in China between 1990 to 2020 to the generation born between 1960 to 1990. Feng later affirms the difference between the two generations to be 150 million people. But there was more. The 1960s saw China's highest fertility, about 245 million, but the decades following saw a steady decline. By the 1990s, total birth counts decreased by about 35 million, and by the 2000s, births fell a sharp 47 million in just a decade alone. Furthermore, the shrinking working population, which Feng said began declining around 2012, is already impacting macroeconomics. The 1960 to 1990 generation, who are currently 31 to 60 years old, constitute the majority of today's workforce. But by 2040, those born in the following 30-year cycle, between 1990 to 2020, will become the junior and established workforce. Coupled with a 150 million shortage in the youth generation, China's working population may very well plummet in the next decade or two. It seems, therefore, that close attention should be paid to the decline's developing impact on the economy. Yet despite this impending issue, China seems to keep it hidden from the public eye, claiming the official Chinese population is 1.4 billion. Yi Fuxian, however, believes otherwise. A senior scientist at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, Mr. Yi estimates that China's 2020 population is actually less than 1.26 billion, if not under 1.28 billion at most. His numbers, he explains, were calculated from China's fertility rate, birth rate, as well as data in healthcare, education, and marriage. In his book, Big Country with an Empty Nest, Mr. Yi also explains more about the CCP's cover-up, such as inflating the nation's birth rate and population size in both the 2000 and 2010 census data. Population data, Mr. Yi warns, is not something that can be concealed for long. And indeed so, seen in a report recently released by the Zhejiang Provincial Bureau of Statistics and the National Development and Reform Commission. In their joint analysis on the Zhejiang province's population structure and trends, officials found that the birth counts increased significantly after the two-child policy was implemented back in 2016. But after peaking the next year, the birth count of legal residents saw a big drop in 2018. In addition to Zhejiang province, Shandong province, also known as the Big Second Child province, had a birth count of 1.75 million in 2017, only to drop to 1.33 million by the next year. By 2019, it had dropped to 1.18 million. As to why the increasing drop, the Chinese business network, CBN, a subsidiary of the radio and television station of Shanghai, reported that low fertility rates are common in China. Based on its survey, CBN cited affordability as the main reason for the fertility rate peaking in 2017.